First up, though, as I said, we will check in again with Kempsey Shire Mayor Kenny Ring, as we promised we would, as the heartbreaking clean-up from last week's deadly floods across the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Look, I know they are doing it very tough, and the pictures of that flood event at its peak were extraordinary. Australia was shocked. Towns like Kempsey and Taree and smaller communities absolutely smashed. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was quick to jump on a plane to visit. He got as far north as he could, and I understand that he was back there again this week. Now, the ADF, the military, they were deployed. They're still on the ground there, as they should be. But at the same time, another disaster is unfolding in Western Victoria, a silent natural disaster that incredibly is being all but ignored federally by not just the federal government, by the state government in Victoria as well. Western Victoria is in the middle of a crippling drought, and it has reached disaster levels. Now, I'll talk shortly to Bernie Free. He's with the Dairy Division of the Victorian Farmers Federation. Hearing him on radio this morning, I think, caused a lot of city listeners to get very angry. Bernie talked about a visit yesterday from Victoria's Agriculture Minister, Ros Spence. He says, this is his words, she did not want to be there and offered no government assistance. He also talked about the mental struggle dairy farmers like him and sheep and cattle farmers are now going through. Now, late today, and I presume the Agriculture Minister got back from her visit and got into the ear of the Premier, the Victorian government did act, maybe because of Bernie's interview this morning. Now, farmers will now, after a massive protest last week, a bigger farmer protest you've never seen, they will now get a one-year reprieve from that hated Emergency Services Fire Levy. A $37 million rescue package was announced late today, including something that is vague, a maximum $5,000 grant for something called management improvements, whatever that is, and for mental health support. There is also $10,000 to 11 council areas. Look, forgive my cynicism here, but this again seems too little, too late, and a knee-jerk reaction to something that should have been dealt with months ago. Now, while the package is welcome for farmers, their sleep is hard for them. They're not sleeping, and it's not just those on the land. All of the surrounding communities are doing it tough as well. Now, the problem with drought emergencies, unlike those floods we saw last week or like the bushfires we've experienced in the past, this is by its very nature, this drought, almost invisible. And you can call on all the resources you like, the ADF, but they can't make it rain. Look, I'll also catch up with the opposition's David Southwick, as I said. He'll be up first tonight to get his view on that state government package and what they ought to be doing. Now, I've covered droughts like this before, and what often happens is that volunteers load up trucks with feed, and that's what's urgently needed. But there's a drought just as bad further west in South Australia, and those floods have hit another of Australia's big dairy regions around Taree and the like. So if feed could be sourced, it would need to be gotten from another part of New South Wales, maybe from Queensland or WA. But trust me, this is a national emergency that deserves the attention of our national government in Canberra. As far as I can work out, this is not really registered with the federal government. National MPs in those areas need to start making a lot of noise about financial relief. These Australians, these people in Western Victoria, I think they feel like they're being forgotten. They're under tremendous financial stress. Anecdotally, lives have already been lost. And on top of all this, the incompetent state Labor government has lobbed its new emergency services levy on them that replaces the existing fire services levy into the middle of all of this. Late today, the Premier decided they wouldn't pay that for 12 months, but who knows whether that'll actually happen. It is a disgrace what's going on there. The farmers in that region are really desperate. You add to that intended superannuation law changes that the Albanese and Chalmers government want to use, double tax on unrealised profits on small self-managed super funds, and you've got the perfect storm. Bernie Free in a moment, but as he said this morning, this is a natural disaster on top of a financial wipeout, and they really do need help.